all Europe is closing. Look here, look at all the flights canceled. Cancel, 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 cancel.
Ooh, hey, it's Freddy from Norway. I arrived back from Brazil 2 weeks ago because of the thing. Isn't it crazy that I can assume that you know what that thing is, no matter where you are from? It is old news. Still interesting. I mean, still relevant, you know? Well, it first started in Brazil. I was in Brazil for 6 weeks. And I think I caught some flu in Rio. And when I was going towards Sao Paulo, I was sitting on a bus, and I just felt this is not good for me. This is you know, the place to be infected. It was not the thing. It was not coronavirus. Well, it could be, but highly unlikely, I think, because at this time only were just 35 confirmed cases in a country of 200 million people. So, one update, my mother has been having flu symptoms too, and she is a health worker, so she tested herself. She's negative towards COVID-19. Her attitude is negative towards it, because it sucks to have it for her. I mean, it would suck if she had it. And the test, which is positive, well, it's a positive thing, also turned negative. She's not sick, and I probably don't have it either. But I was worried that I had it. I was carrying around this guilt and anxiety around it, and I was living with other people too. Am I infecting them? Everybody was nagging at me, come home, you may not be able to come home soon if you don't hurry up. Well, I actually waited for the panic to arise in Brazil before I ordered the ticket home. So I ordered a flight from Sao Paulo, and it was twice as expensive as it usually is. And it was gonna go to Spain, to Madrid, Oslo. And on that day, they actually closed the borders in Brazil at that day. It was the 19th of March. You know, we're sitting there, right? All nationalities, kind of this tension in the air. Wow, this is crazy. We're sitting here. We're flying now to Spain. Probably the worst place you could fly to at that time. Okay, I love Spain, but shit was going down there right then. And now, I mean, the death numbers are rolling in, which is a nasty tragedy. And obviously, people have anxiety. Like I was, do I have it? Am I infecting people? Will people die because of me? And, you know, is there a afterlife where I will see these people who I made die? Will they be like,
Hey, you infected me. I know that now. Why didn't you go to the mountains and isolate yourself?
So I'm carrying around a little guilt, and I feel a little alone about it. But then the captain had a speech before takeoff, and he said, ladies and gentlemen, this is a special date, and it's a special flight for us in the cabin crew here, because it will be our last flight in we don't know how long. The flight attendees and the pilot, and we all kind of took off a mask, not the protection masks, those were on, but we became more human. We applauded the speech of the captain. You know, it was not an airline company and then us, the customers. We could all relate to each other, and that was beautiful. I could look to the left, and there were Dutch being spoken on the left, French on the right, and Spanish behind me. And it really hit me that this is the first time in my lifetime when I know what everybody is worried about. No matter what their cultural conditioning, nationality, profession, social status, that was not in the way for me to see them. Goosebumps, you know, from that speech of the captain, and I'm sure people felt tears as well. The fear has context suddenly when you see it in other people. I was here on this airplane packed, you know, everybody has some kind of anxiety around it. And that's when you see the full context of fear. You see the true face of fear which is not what it looks like when you're totally involved in it. You think the world evolves around you, the only one carrying around it, and you're guilty. But yeah, when I see everywhere, they're worried about the same thing. There are details that I don't know about, but generally speaking, they're concerned with the same thing. And just knowing that really turned this fear into kind of love that stretches not just throughout all the people in the airplane, but also across the whole world, because this is what we're dealing with all over the world. Knowing that, it just touched me. And I watched this movie called Inside Out about emotions, and it really made me tear up in the end there. And also knowing that this is going on in the world and in this airplane, and knowing that this world has never been this unified about something and connected over something, it just made me tear up even more. And I shed dozens and dozens of tears over the next hour or two, afraid that people were watching me, so I kept elbowing out tears. But I did look forward to bragging about it later to the camera or on an Instagram post, because the modern ideal male cries a lot, right?
A man came up to me and he was crying. Strong man, big tough guy, but he was crying.
And these were healing tears. I felt a heart opening, better connection with myself and also the world. My favorite thing ever, to feel connected with everything. That's what I want in life. I wish it happened more often. Some of my favorite movie moments have definitely been those reconciliation moments, between the bully and the victim, or the bad guy starts fighting for the good team, or everybody becomes friends. One example is Remember the Titans. The whites and the blacks, they are super skeptic about playing with each other because this is Alabama or Louisiana or wherever it was in the 60s.
Left side! Strong side! Left side! Strong side! Left side! Strong side! Left side! Strong side! Left side! Strong side!
This is kind of how it is for me now, because the social hierarchy and the archetypes, the masks, they're falling off. The personality masks and the egos and the archetypes and the roles we're playing, the social hierarchy, that is more loose now. We are very different on the mind level with beliefs and thoughts and maybe also looks level, but underneath there to the emotions, we start looking more similar, with anxiety and fears and the deep caring, about life. And when that comes forth, we see each other more. And it's so beautiful. Even though I'm kind of I have big intimacy issues, I think. I've never been in a relationship. I'm 29 and a half now. But maybe this is why, because I feel the most beautiful thing I know is when I feel this connection with everybody and the whole world. That's what I want. And maybe connecting with just one person is boring to me. I don't know. Crisis is a good opportunity to, it's suffering, right? And it's fear. But inside suffering, there is compassion. You can find the heart of the suffering and truly connect with people. And that's beautiful. And not making light of it, there are people who have it so much worse, who I would hate to be right now. I can only talk from how I feel now, what went on in my experience. And my point is that you can turn fear around when you see the full context of fear. Fear without context is separation, anxiety, loneliness, and suffering, victimhood. Fear seen with context, with full context, is excitement, passion, and actually, when you see it in other people, connection with the people, with humanity, with your own humanity, with your heart. And that's a healing experience. And so fear can be totally flipped around, at least in the situation like I was in. I can only speak for that. But I've seen it before, finding salvation in the midst of suffering. And actually, when I came home after going to Spain, staying on that scary airport in a couple hours, my flight to Oslo was cancelled. So I had to change to Frankfurt on this tiny ass plane. And it was so comic because we had to stay 1 meter distance between each passenger on the way in to the airplane. But inside the airplane, we were sitting so close together. It was just bad. I didn't find any salvation in that trip there. But I made it home, and in Oslo, I felt healthy. I felt healed, definitely due to those tears that I felt and that heart opening that I felt. It may sound weird that I felt healed because of that, but I didn't feel sick. And usually I do. When I come home after a long trip, I feel tired and sick. This time I wasn't even tired, really. So the moral of the story is you can turn fear into love by just seeing the full context, understanding the information in the fear, which is that you deeply care about living, about life, about existing, and you care for beings to exist. So connect with that, and you will see something nice arise. When there's urgency, we become more present, and we find out what truly matters for us. What's the most important thing to you? This is a good time to explore yourself more deeply and find out these things. Okay, that's enough grandpa advice. I don't know what I'm talking about, by the way. I'm just a stupid ape like most people. I can't see the future and stuff like that. Maybe God is up there and like, dude, you're in for a true shitstorm. Maybe. I'm smiling now and definitely appreciating this moment here. So this was my last day of the 14-day travel quarantine. I had to be in a quarantine because I traveled, and it's been a good time. I've enjoyed myself. I meditated, I did yoga, I worked out, I did, introverted things, but became more reflected and more connected. So I truly appreciated the experience. It's almost a little sad that I'm out of it now, because I also felt a little special because I had to sit in a 14-day quarantine, restricted to it, by law. So it's almost a little sad that it's over because I felt so badass. And I was just in the store now, and people were so happy and humorous, and it was a great energy in the store. Maybe it's just going to be really boring soon. It's still a little bit exciting to me. And I know most places in the world people are wage dependent, and they don't have the same economical structure that we have in this Norwegian society, where the government pays people to stay at home. I know many countries, they don't do that. And if you're in that situation, my heart goes to you. May you be well, and those you are close to, who you care about, for instance, all of your Facebook friends and all of your Instagram followers, except the ones you don't follow back. Okay, who cares about the rest? Who cares about them? Let's wrap this video up now. I respect your time. Fine. That rhymed. That too.
Very tough, very strong, very powerful men. They were crying. Steel workers came up to me. They were crying. I mean, there were like 8 or 9 of them. Strong, beautiful guys. They grabbed their grandmother, and they were all crying. Everybody was crying. I said, what a beautiful thing that is.